All right, Brittany. I was able to meet you through entrepreneur group that we're part of, and we connected. And I really liked your energy, and you have such a story to tell other people. So that's why I asked you to come on and share that to the world, right? And so here's a spot for you to shed some light on yourself for what you experienced, and shed some light on somebody else that might be going through the same thing as well. Can you just start off with like, who is Brittany? Like, what is she all about right now?
Thank you. That's a fabulous question. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It is an honor to be here and to share my story. And so, a little bit about myself. First of all, I'm Brittany Russell, a California girl, currently living here in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a former aviation professional, now turned certified health and life coach, specializing in energy and embodiment coaching. And I work with brown and Black Latina women that are over the age of 35 that are tired of being tired, feeling like they're running on fumes, like they've lost touch of themselves. And basically, Jonathan, I help them reset, reconnect, and create a life that feels as good on the inside as it does on the outside. And the reason why I started this work is because I've gone through 2 rounds of burnout, a major heartbreak, unfulfillment in life, lack of confidence. I mean, any low point, like I have lived it and I've been able to go through it and recover. And it's kind of happened several times. And so now I'm just on this mission where it's like, okay, if I was able to overcome this, I think that I can help others do the same. I feel like a pro and an expert now. So let me get out here and keep other women from having to go through what I've had to experience.
It only takes like two or three times to go through something,
I'm
right?
just, I'm just saying that's that's
You're
all.
you're an expert, is that it?
Yes, I
Yeah,
got my stripes already. So
gotcha. So what was the first thing you experienced that kind of held you back and you went through?
yeah, I think the first thing that I experienced, it started about 5 years ago, right before the pandemic. I was in like this grind, going to work 5 days a week, clocking in, doing a job, going home, trying to take care of all these little things. And what I found myself was I was on a hamster wheel. I was on a hamster wheel. And it wasn't until I went to Peru that I was just paying attention to how people were living out there, Jonathan. It was really eye-opening because I saw folks living a different way of life. Their life was more slowed down and more relaxed. People were having coffee in the daytime. People were holding hands. And it was eye-opening for me because I was like, there's more to life than what I'm doing back home. And what can I do to have a bit of that? Like I want that lifestyle. And so just noticing that, that's when I started to pick up that, okay, there's some things in my life that need to be assessed that I need to start making changes for.
And what were they?
Mindset number one. Ooh, goodness gracious. You know, I love my family.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Love my family. But a lot of things that I grew up like knowing and that I learned were really unhealthy, really unhealthy. On top of that, like I just realized I did not feel good about myself, and that's not easy to admit. I did not feel good about myself. Um, my eating habits were terrible. I was negative when it came to thinking. I was hiding behind my accomplishments. Like I was on this prove yourself type of deal where, I was constantly trying to prove myself through my accomplishments, through my jobs and different things of that sort, failed relationships. It was like a series of things that just made me say, no, this doesn't feel right. And so that's when I knew, like, okay, let's go ahead and get into therapy. Number one, let's start doing some deep, deep work on this. Let's figure out what's going on deep down. Let's figure out what's going on with your body. Like, I had to learn new eating habits, become comfortable with working out. At one point, I hated working out and had to get back into that. Started to remove certain people from my life that was just no longer serving me or no longer good, and really just learning to love myself, learning to love myself.
How so how did you start to really work on your mindset shift?
That's a good question. It started with the help of therapy. And my, my therapist called me out. She said, Brittany, you're a great person, but you really think negatively. And I don't think you realize it. Um, it was bring that awareness. Here's where it happens. It becomes a norm, right? If you've just been a certain way your whole entire life, things just become normal and you don't realize it, right? You're just like, oh, well, this is just me. Until someone calls it out and says, no, I don't know. That I think you could have said that differently, or I think you should flip that. And what I just started noticing was I would look at things with the glass half full. There you go. It was very difficult for me to see like the positive in certain things, even within my own life. And so at that point, that's when I knew like, okay, let's start turning this around a bit. Like, let's start focusing on the good in your life. Let's start focusing on the great things about you because it really started with me first. One, I had to learn. It's interesting because my career played a very like big part in my life. I had to come to the realization that I was more than just my job title. I
Yeah.
was so caught up in chasing like titles.
Uh,
And
As a lot of people are. Yeah.
of course, and I get it, right? Like there's no judgment. But here's the problem is when you miss out on who you truly are because you're so focused on the actual job title to the point where if someone asks you who you are, you say job title. And I get that. That's we just kind of become accustomed to that. But I needed to know who Brittany was at the core without the job title, outside of the company. Like, who is she really deep within? And once I started to spend time learning who I was and tapping back into things that I didn't even know were within me, that's when I really started to love myself, Jonathan, and started just to enjoy like being by myself and having fun with just Brittany.
Yeah. And you had to shed a lot of things away from you, people and
Yeah.
whatever else you were doing. And so it's funny. And I'll share this too, because I kind of went through the same thing, going through a divorce and a job loss and everything. And it's like, and I agree with the whole, I could like mold. You go to work, you come home, and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. The weekends, or you're hanging out with friends, doing whatever, and that's
Yeah.
it. You're right back to it again. So who are you really? Um, and it's fortunate and unfortunate that we have to go through some of this crap just
Yeah.
to find ourselves.
Oh, yeah. I'm laughing because it was difficult, but I
Hmm.
went through it all over again just to get to where I'm at right now.
That's great to hear. Yeah. And so, like, how long did it take for you to start to go through therapy to kind of, you said the therapist said something to you, but I
Yeah.
mean, how long was that process to kind of shift that a little bit? Yeah.
Woo! Okay, so it's funny because I just had this realization just the other day, and this is something that I want to share with people. Like when when you've been through a lot, which many of us have, um, therapy is great and I love it and I'm all for it, but it's going to take time. And I think sometimes like we just want to hurry up, get to it. We want to hurry up and change. And what I had to realize, Jonathan, was this wasn't going to be an overnight thing. I wasn't going to wake up the next day and just notice like, oh, I'm different. No, this has taken years. Because here's what I've noticed with me. I can work on something, get triggered, start to go backwards. So it's like it kind of becomes like this little like I don't know what to call it, but kind of like a cycle, And it takes practice, just like with anything else. It takes practice. So I have been on this journey literally for 5 years. It started back in 2019, excuse me, 6 years now.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so is that push and pull, and you're kind of like, so I think we discussed this before when we first connected, it was like, you're losing all your old friends, you're looking for new ones, and you're in the middle, and you're like, don't know which way they go, right? And so, I know Alex Hormozy explains it as the gray area and stuff. And so I agree with that. So, because it's all new. So you have to kind of feel for it and see if that's actually the right way to go or not. And ultimately it is, it's just different. It's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So you're exploring yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, it's new. If you've been operating a certain way for so long and you start to adapt a different mindset, there it's normal for your subconscious mind, your body to want to pull you back into like that old safe space that you're used to operating in. Then you may also find yourself in like situations or environments that try to take you back to where you left. And so I just found myself going through all of these different things and having to like navigate it. But the more I would remind myself, and there's one thing that has really helped me just kind of go through this journey, is having a mental cue. So a mental cue is like it's a couple of quick words that you tell yourself, to kind of help you snap back into something. So let's say, how can I put this? Let's say that I'm thinking negatively, right? Okay, so I'm sitting here looking and I'm like, oh my God, my situation, nothing's getting better. Like, what do I do? Nothing's working out for me. My mental cue, I'm sorry, my cat's food just, I don't know if you guys heard that.
I
That
didn't.
okay, my cat's food just dropped. Sorry about that. But it's a mental cue where it's like, okay, I say a couple of words like Brittany, I'll say something like, Brittany, everything is gonna work out for your good. Snaps me back into being grateful and looking at the situation in a positive mind, like a positive way. And so I try to do little things like that just to keep me looking forward, and not so much reverting back into my old ways or old patterns or old habits.
Have you found yourself drifting in that direction and but you still know it's for the better because like, how can I explain this a little bit differently? You're going down the right path, but it feels wrong, right? Because everything's still falling apart, but you know that there's something so much brighter on the other side, but you have to just get through that. Like
Yeah.
that's so difficult. And it sounds like you might be experiencing that too, and I know I have and I am, and I know a bunch of other listeners and watchers as well.
Yeah.
So you just shared how you kind of help yourself kind of navigate something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find yourself struggling with that a lot right now?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My whole like my world, the world around me, it's wild right now. It's the wild, wild west.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm currently like in a phase. So let me share this. I've recently been laid off. And so this path of coaching, entrepreneurship, this is new. Like I'm stepping out on faith. I've never done this before. I have no family members that have done this. This is something that is literally new for me in my world. And so I am used to being on a job. That's what I've lived in that life for 12 years now. And so now that I'm on this new path, Jonathan, it's very uncertain. It's scary. But the biggest thing that keeps me moving forward and that's helping me navigate this is one, I know how resilient I am. I have gone through so much in my life. And I think a lot of times I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for the amount of stuff that we have been through. I often remind myself of more challenging issues and bigger rocks and mountains that I've had to climb and how I've gotten through that. And that is that proof to remind me that, okay, whatever you're currently up against, you're going to get through it. But the other thing is faith. Faith. I am locked in on my faith. And I know that I'm protected and that I'm covered and that I'm also guided. So I'm not just out here like, I know what it's like to be lost out here, doing your own thing, living your own life. I've been there before. I've committed my life. I've surrendered. So I'm walking a different path. And I just know that like whatever step I take, that it's the right step because I'm being guided. Boom.
Is that a mic drop?
My
Yeah,
own personal mic.
there you go. So has faith always been something that you always held on to in your life?
No, no. I'm gonna be honest. No, I haven't. Started off that way. My family, my grandmother was an evangelist, pastor, so was my grandfather. I grew up in church, but I think I grew up in LA. Let me throw that out there. I grew up in the inner city. I almost didn't graduate high school. I was out being a wild, rebellious teen. So I have not always followed that path. But here's where I locked in, and this just happened recently. When I got to Atlanta back in 2016, I got baptized. And so I knew at that point I was made new, walking on a new path. But then I got sidetracked, derailed, started doing my own thing again. Always had it, I always knew who the father was, but I was just kind of like, I'm going to take things into my own hands and just figure this out on my own until I started getting into some things that I couldn't get myself out of anymore, where they became God-sized problems. And they weren't problems that I could figure out, that my family could figure out, that a friend, no one. And at that point, that's when I knew, like, okay, I really have to change how I'm living. I can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so I decided, like, no, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm going to commit my life and lead off of faith. But I've always had like a little bitty, I've always had a little bitty faith with me that has kept me going. And truthfully, that's probably the reason why I'm still here, because I was supposed to be dead back in 2021. And I
You
know
were.
it's rough. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
I got into a bad car accident.
Okay.
Yeah. And the truth was I was driving under the influence.
Hmm.
Hmm. Wrecked a car. Almost killed myself. Very scary moment. Very scary moment. And just even thinking about it, the emotions, like, they come up.
Sure. It could, yeah, could have been real, and you actually
Yeah.
could have lost your life.
Yeah.
So is that the God size problem?
That's just one of the God-sized.
Wow.
Oh
Okay.
god, I told you there's series out there.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think when I think within the past couple years, the major God-sized problems were, one, a job that I didn't feel fulfilled in, that no matter what I tried to do, nothing would work out. Um, how much I tried to show up, never felt valued, never felt seen. And then the other God-sized problem was my relationship. I went through a rough relationship with someone that I really, really cared about. And I believed that we had something, that we were going to, live a life together forever. And it
Mhm.
turned out that that wasn't the case. And this was a relationship where I really felt that person. So, oof, mm, mm.
Yeah. So you're not alone, right? Everybody else deals with this too. They just don't open up about it.
Yeah.
So you sharing all this is a tool, journey, a navigation tool in a sense that somebody else can listen to and kind of follow that path as well. Is there a reason why you are targeting, I think you said women between 31 and 35?
So powerhouse black and I gotta throw the powerhouse in there.
Powerhouse. Okay.
Black and Latino women ages 35 and older.
Uh,
And yes, there is a reason specifically, so not so much about the Black and the Latina. I'll say this, ladies, I will work with anybody. I can work with anyone, but that's just what I specialize in. But age-wise, yes, because at 35, like, and I'm speaking for myself, that's when, one, I realized, oh crap, 40 is like right down the road. Like, let's start getting things in order. And then also by 35, I had been through some real big stuff. Whereas in my early 30s, I was still, just fresh out of the 20s and, hadn't fully matured mentally. But by 35, that's when I knew, like, yeah, let's Let's wrap this up now. Come on, let's get things in order. Because you start to realize, Jonathan, time starts going by so quickly. You turn 30, then by the time you're 35, then you're 40, then you're 50. And it's like, where are the years going? So, two, I just feel comfortable working with women that are 35 and older because I spend a lot of time around those women. I hear the things that they talk about, how they feel, what they're going through. And although, I may be younger than some of them, I can resonate with them. And then I see them where they're at. And it's kind of like I've always been told that I have like this old soul. This old soul. People tend to think that I'm older than what I am. I'm not sharing my age. Do not ask. Do not ask. But yeah, like I those everybody, all the girls are my girls. I'm a girl's girl. But there's something special that I share with women that are over 35 as well.
Interesting. Yes, I find it a lot that when I talk to people, it's usually like that age gap, right? Or group where it's something where the 30s, the 40s, or whatever, you kind of like your eyes open up for the
Yep.
most part. For, at least the people I run into lately, and of course, there's those others, they just still in the zone and not paying attention to anything. And for me, it was in my 40s. Like I had to go through all that, or when I was 40, I had to go through all that stuff and,
Hmm.
get to where I am today. And it was just like, okay, it's an eye opener, right? And
Yeah.
you figure yourself out. But it sucked at the time, but you know what I mean? But looking back, it was probably the best thing personally for me, because now it got me to where I am today doing what I'm doing. Um, and I know you're on the same path. Like you're already telling me everything that's been going on and how you're growing, and it's work. It takes work. And if you don't surround yourself with the right people, you're going to be working even harder.
Now that's a mic drop because
Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't realize that. It's funny that you say that because there's a quote that I always throw out there to people. I'm like, you are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with.
right.
And sometimes people, you could just see that look because they stop and they mentally start to assess who
Hmm.
they spend. And they're like, hmm, hmm, okay. So yeah, it makes all the difference in the world.
It does. Did you find your new five?
Yeah, I think I found my new 10 or
You
20.
doubled it, man.
I
You're
don't
on a
know.
roll.
Like
Uh,
I told myself today, I gave myself a pat on the back. I was just like, okay, so let's step back. At the beginning of the year, I knew I was on this journey of change because,
okay.
like I said, last year I went through the breakup. I lost my first boyfriend. He died by suicide. I lost a good girlfriend in a plane crash.
Mm.
So at the beginning of the year, like I just knew I was in this transformation, this shift. I felt it. And one of the things that I told myself was, and this was no offense to anyone that I'm hanging with now. Let's go ahead and say that. I love you guys and care for you very much. Um,
They're tuning in now.
Look, I was like, let's just put that disclaimer there. Don't hit me up in my DMs later on. But it was, I really need to surround myself with people that are where I want to go, that are currently living the life that I want to live. And at that point in time, Jonathan, I did not know how to get there. I was sitting over there thinking, and this may sound cliche or whatever. I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to start going to cigar lounges or golf courses or, hanging out at the hotel. Like, I don't know, hotel bar. Like, I don't know. I was just like, maybe that's where those types of people hang out. The ignorance, unfortunately, I'm going to call it out. But then I realized, like, no, that's really not where they're hanging out. And it wasn't until I started to really put myself out there, started to share with my friends what I was trying to do, the path that I was on, that I noticed that doors started opening up because people saw that I was ready. A lot of times we want to get into these certain rooms and hang out with these certain people, but we're not ready yet. And I had to get ready. And no, I wasn't ready in terms of, oh, let me make sure that my lifestyle aligns with theirs. But no, I was ready in terms of like, I know what I want in my life right now. And so, even like connecting with you through this amazing community, CLA, someone presented me with that opportunity. That wasn't just something that I stumbled upon, but it was a good girlfriend of mine that noticed how hungry I was for the work that I do and who I am. And that's when that door opened up. And ever since, it's been magic. It's been magic. And I was just assessing today. I was like, goodness gracious, I know people, and I know good people. It makes mm, so thankful.
It's a big difference, that's for sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It really.
Yeah. Do you I'm just curious, do you have a vision board or anything like that?
So that's a lovely question. So I switched things up this year, and I'm smiling because typically I was doing it the old school way, and there's nothing wrong with the old school way, but that was getting the board, cutting out things. Now, the beginning of the year, I used Canva. And I did create this vision board. And this vision board is a bit different from the ones that I would do in the past because one, I had access to all of the different images, but there were key things that I put on this board that I have never put ever before. And it's all coming like into fruition. It's happening. And I look at it every now and then. I know they say you should put it up in a place where you see it every day. Well, it's on the computer. I haven't printed it out yet. But I really just was very intentional and thoughtful. And it wasn't so much about I want the car, the house. Like, yeah, of course, that's nice. But I want joy, peace, good relationships, good experiences. I want a global business. I want a relationship, like I want a close relationship with God. Yeah, I went deeper this time, and I'm just so glad that I did that. Gosh, whew, so proud of myself. Like, girl, look at you.
That's awesome. So I'm getting to the point where I probably have to change mine because it's been about 3 years now, and most
Jonathan,
of them are, huh?
Jonathan, three years?
For what?
Your vision board?
Yeah, well, most of them are almost all complete. So that's where I'm getting at. So I kind of have to update it in a sense,
Yeah,
make some small ones that are on there a little bit bigger to kind of brighten them up to say, hey, now I have to work on this. Um, and I used Canva too. I had somebody I met in another group and she's like, yeah, she ran a whole little course, mini, it was free or whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, so we were just like, yeah, let's just do this for fun. And, here I am almost 3 years. And yeah, it's stuff I never even thought of, like speaking. That's just started this year, right? Like I never even thought of that, right? And for whatever reason, it just came true. Um, but I want to shift a little bit here. Have you ever done values, mission, and vision for you?
I have touched on values.
Okay.
Um, I feel like right now with where I'm at, I'm the vision. I'm starting. I see the vision. I haven't written it out though, and I'm understanding the mission, but I haven't written it out. That's the difference. I
Mhm.
see these things. I've spent time with values, but I've never taken the time to actually write them out.
Okay. I'm just asking because it's something I'll talk to a couple of people sometimes when I have them on my podcast because they ask me questions and I tell them this. And I had a leadership coach last year, and so he navigated me through that. And just like your vision board, it's on my wall. There are two spots for each thing, but
Mhm.
and on the phone too. So it's something you just can kind of go back. So like for instance, somebody asks you, "Hey, you want to join this group or get into this product," and you just kind of like, does that align? And you're like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like one of those things yeah, it's a checklist in a sense, right?
it definitely is.
um might be something worth checking out, as you navigate through this stuff. And you
Yeah.
know but
I
I'm going
appreciate
to ask you one more quick question, and then I'll ask you for your, contact information. So, how do you actually sit down with a client and help them? Like, what's the process?
Yeah, so okay, when it comes to the process, I am dealing with women that are basically burned out and they've lost touch with themselves. So, what the process one looks like is sitting down with them and understanding where they're currently at and where they're trying to get to. That's step one. The next thing we need to do is assess what's causing the burnout, what's draining your energy, because that's where a lot of the change needs to happen. And so from that point, it's like, okay, we got to look at what's the energy drainers, how can we fix that? And sometimes, Jonathan, what I've noticed, it looks like people struggling to say no and set boundaries, not getting enough rest, not taking out time for self-care, busy calendars, schedules, things of that sort. So diving in and checking out, like, okay, what's draining your energy? The next thing is like, okay, now that we figured that out, let's start calming that nervous system, because it's very difficult for you to go through life when your body's constantly in that fight or flight stage, when you're constantly feeling like you're on edge, when you're tired, when you're drained. So we get the nervous system calmed down so that they can start to think, start to feel better, and start to take steps forward. And then from that point, it's like, okay, we've gotten that, we've created some type of self-care daily ritual routine for you where you're feeling better. Now, who are you? Because as the powerhouse woman, she's typically caught up in like her titles, her accomplishments, things that her family has put on her, pressures and things. But who are you at the core? So we got to get through all the layers and find out who she is deep down. And once we do that, it's like, okay, now we got a sense of who you are, girl. How do you want to show up in the world? What is that version of you that feels good, that is able to, advocate for herself, has her voice, is setting boundaries, she's feeling better. How is she stepping and moving out into the world? And that's where the embodiment part comes, because she may see herself looking different, dressing different, speaking, how she sits in the chair, how she walks into a room, but really helping her to step out and show up with confidence and authenticity. And once we've gotten there, then it's like, okay, well, what's the next phase of this? What's the next phase of this? What does that look like? So I know that was a little long, sorry y'all. I really get into it, but that's what that process looks like.
That's good. No, I'm glad you explained it that way. So I appreciate that. So, how can somebody reach out to you, connect with you?
Yeah, so you can definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn, Brittany Russell. You'll find me, you'll see my face. But also, I'm on IG, L3 Coaching. That's ELLETHREE Coaching. I'm on Facebook as Brittany Russell, and I'm also on TikTok as L3 Coaching. And please feel free to connect. I would love to chat, see how I can support you, and definitely go from there. And so, Jonathan, I know that you'll provide that information as well. But
Sure.
yeah, that's the best way to get in touch with me. And don't hesitate to send me a message. I'm a very personable person. I just like authentic and intentional connections.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so whoever's listening or watch this, make sure you reach out to Brittany, or share it with somebody else that you know that needs to help. Brittany, one last question for you that I ask everybody. You already know. What are three key things you've learned and used along your journey?
Yeah. Oh, I wish I had my book with me. I just wrote down some things today.
Okay.
Okay. Here's one thing I've learned that it was recently. Every assignment is not my assignment. So that means a lot of times people will throw things at you, need you to get involved in this. I don't always have to say yes because it's not for me to do. So that's number one. Number two is I've always been of value, no matter what anyone has told me, no matter how I've been treated. I've always been a valuable person. And I wish that's something that I wish I had learned early on. But a lot of times I would let the things from my job and my relationships really like chip at how I saw myself and how I felt about myself. I've always been of value. So that's the other thing. And then three, it's like, I'm here to serve. That's my purpose for being here. If I didn't learn anything else, like none of this other stuff matters, Jonathan. I was brought here to serve, to be of help to people, to encourage them, uplift them. And so now that I know that about myself, because I thought that I was supposed to be an aviation employee forever, I look at life different and I walk different and I approach people differently.
I would agree with that myself too. If everything around you fell apart, you would still feel good because you're doing good inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brittany. I
Thank
appreciate you coming on and sharing everything you shared with everybody, and um, looking forward to see the progress you make in the next few weeks, months. It'd be quick, I'm sure.
you. For sure. Thank you so much, Jonathan. This was great. I enjoyed talking to you and I hope we can do it again.
Absolutely.
All right.